The Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering is so important for the profession. It shines a light on the very best of engineering. It shows that engineering is about creativity, it's about design, and it's about working collaboratively.
The Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering is so important to raise the profile of engineering nationally and globally. It's often referred to as science or as innovation, but actually really getting a sense of these are engineers and these are the amazing things that they can do.
Your Royal Highness, Lords, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Energy Hall at the heart of London Science Museum. My name is Professor Jamal Khalili, and I'm delighted to be with you tonight to celebrate the incredible world of engineering and to introduce you to the announcement of the winner of the 2024 Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering. The QE Prize exists to celebrate the engineering innovations that have genuinely changed our world and have benefited billions of people across the globe. As well as my work as a university professor and broadcaster, it was my pleasure to serve as a QE Prize judge between 2017 and 2023. The quality of the nominations that the panel considers for this prize is absolutely outstanding, and you'll hear from this year's judges about some of the qualities that they look for during their deliberations. You'll also hear from some early career engineers whose work would not be possible without the innovation that we'll be celebrating this evening. To begin this evening, it's my great pleasure to introduce the new chair of trustees of the Science Museum Group, Sir Tim Laureates.
Your Royal Highness, Lords, ladies and gentlemen, I'm thrilled to be welcoming the Royal Academy back here to the Science Museum so early in my tenure as chair, and particularly to be welcoming my wife here as Royal Fellow of the Royal Academy and lifelong enthusiast for the very best in engineering, science and technology. Last week, we launched here an exhibition celebrating the brilliant design and technology of the 17th and 18th centuries. We do the past well here. But we also do the present and the future well too. And that's why we're delighted to have this link with the Royal Academy, and especially with the Queen Elizabeth Prize. That partnership led to the opening of our Engineers Gallery last summer, and it was an important milestone for us, particularly because it links not just the innovations of the past and the present, but also the brilliant individuals and teams that have brought those innovations to life and into practice. This evening's winners will, I'm sure, in due course have their place in that gallery. Possibly, who knows, as life-size wax models, taking on Madame Tussauds at their own game. But if they end this evening plastered, it's more likely to be to do with wax than alcohol, I can assure them. On that note, I'm going to hand over now, well, I'm going to firstly repeat my warm welcome to all of you here to the Science Museum and hand over to the Chief Executive of both the Royal Academy and the Prize, Dr. Hayaton Zillon.
Thank you, Sir Tim. Your Royal Highness, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering Foundation, I am delighted to add my welcome to you all for this evening's announcement of the 2024 Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering. Last year, we were privileged to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the prize in the presence of His Majesty the King, and I am sure we would all want to put on record our very best wishes to His Majesty for a full and swift recovery. Over this past decade, the prize has recognized 24 outstanding laureates, engineers at the very peak of the profession, whose work has improved the lives of billions of people right around the world. And in recognizing their achievements, we have been able to celebrate the power of engineering to transform lives, to solve problems, and to create opportunity. And that matters because at the heart of the prize is a commitment that we will harness the wonder and the awe created by our laureates and their innovations to light a spark in a new generation. We are indebted to the Queen Elizabeth Prize ambassadors, our network of earlier career engineers who play such an important role in this. Several of our ambassadors feature alongside our laureates in the Engineers Gallery, which I hope you will all have the chance to look around shortly, in the unlikely event that you haven't already paid it a visit. And we will see again this evening. Our ambassadors also contribute to the limitless cycle of innovation, with new generations of engineers delivering improvements fueled by the pioneering efforts of our laureates. Engineering is a profoundly optimistic profession through which new and better futures are created. And tonight, we are looking forward to celebrating engineers whose vision and tenacity have already changed our world and which continue to shape new possibilities. More on that very soon, but first, it is my great pleasure to welcome the Minister for Science, Research and Innovation, Andrew Griffiths, to say a few words on behalf of the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology, which celebrates its first anniversary tomorrow. Minister, happy birthday and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, my lords, ladies, chairman, and honoured guests. Hayaton, it's a delight to be with you all this evening. And Sir Ian, as Science Minister, I see it as my job to fund such a prodigious volume of science to make sure that your work here in curating the latest innovations will never be complete. The work of engineers down the ages has been a vital part of changing human lives for the better. We can be rightly proud of the British contribution to this, exemplified by members of the Royal Academy and those who've in the past been recognised by this prestigious award. Supporting this, supporting all of you, is a key part of my department, the highly focused Department of Science, Innovation and Technology, which, as Hayaton said, celebrates its first anniversary tomorrow. Engineering is today as important as ever for progress in all of our priority areas, which include AI, quantum technologies, engineering biology, and semiconductors. Increasingly, the contribution of engineering is not just to humanity, but to our beautiful and fragile planet. New materials, new methods of construction, and an entirely new, cleaner energy system. That's why I'm so pleased that it was the Academy that was chosen to deliver the Green Future Fellowships, backed by a £150 million government endowment. Through catalysing change, the discipline of engineering is steadily transforming the shape of civilization. Long may that continue to be the case. It's now my great pleasure to welcome to the stage the Royal Fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering, Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal.
Thank you, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be once again here to celebrate the next Queen Elizabeth Prize winner, and also to be here at the Science Museum. This, as we've heard, is now the home of the new Engineers Gallery, which opened in 2023. Now, the gallery recognizes the breadth and impact of engineering and celebrates previous Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering winners and their innovations. And that covers the internet and the World Wide Web, controlled drug release mechanisms, digital imaging sensors, GPS, LED lighting, permanent magnets, and solar cell technology. So far, that's covered a very wide range of really astonishing innovations. And they have indeed had an impact on billions of lives throughout the world. To be here too at the Science Museum, I suspect there are generations of young people who may have started their main interest in engineering and science here in this museum. I think this will encourage a lot more. We know that engineering continues to lead the way in providing the solutions to some of our most pressing global challenges. Some of those are not new. Some of those are about using previous innovation to work better, to continue to innovate, and to make it work even more successfully. The ambition and the scale of the work of all Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering laureates marks the prize as the world's most prestigious engineering award. And it demonstrates the link between engineering and innovation, and how for young people who want to make a difference to the world, engineering exists as not just a wonderful career choice, but a very important career choice for the future. I would argue it's never too early to inspire the young to want to be engineers. But I think, as I found in a pre-primary school in South Wales, where the teacher referred to those playing with blocks and building towers, she referred to them as becoming engineers. It's never too young to start using the terminology that you really want them to recognize, so they can make those choices sooner and take advantage of all this place has to offer, and to take even more of an interest in our Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering laureates in the future. We look forward to the next winners. May I congratulate all those who were nominated, certainly, and especially the winners. Thank you.
Your Royal Highness, thank you very much. The QE Prize aims to inspire young people to consider a career in engineering. For each prize, promising young engineers are given the opportunity to design the trophy that His Majesty the King will present to our laureates. So before we learn who's won the 2024 Create the Trophy competition, let's take a look behind the scenes of this year's judging meeting, which took place last month here at the Science Museum.
The importance of the Create the Trophy competition is the relationship between design and engineering. When we look at an issue, when we look at a product, we look at anything that we create, we're looking at not only how it solves a problem in a practical level, but also how it links to us as humans. And this is what design and engineering do together.
The fact that this is a global competition, I think, is really important, because then people from different cultural backgrounds can bring their particular lenses to bear on the challenge of designing a trophy, considering what engineering means to them and how they can see the world can be shown to us through their designs. I think the global reach of this competition also speaks to the global nature of engineering as a discipline. It's for all of us.
I often think that the trophy design is a bit like a fine piece of music, that you know it's a good work, and the more you listen to it, the more you realize the nuance and finesse. And we felt particularly that the design we chose this year had instant commanding appeal, but the more we looked at its dimensions, turned it and imagined holding it in our hand, we realized it would repay respect over and over again.
For me, one of the key aspects of what I'm looking for is something where I think I want to see that for real. Like, if I see a design that makes me think this has to exist, then I know we're onto a winner.
As always, it's a tricky decision choosing the winner. And I think this year we had 3 designs, which was so different that we found it really challenging to decide which one the winner was.
So this year's winning design was super striking to us because there was a blend of simplicity with a timelessness in the design. So it really pushed us and challenged us in a way that we haven't been before.
Watching the winners come in to Buckingham Palace and watch the royals present their designs to the winners is such a special moment, and I'm hoping will be one of those lifetime memories that they carry through with them. Whether they pursue engineering or not, I feel like the idea, the seed that they can design and they can engineer is such a valuable thing for them to have.
Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, as Director of the Science Museum, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you this evening because the Queen Elizabeth Prize was launched at a press conference here in November 2011. And I had no inkling then that we would be home for a gallery celebrating the winners and brilliant young engineers making their way in the world. It is the icing on the cake to host the actual prize announcement too. But then this museum does hold, if I may say so, one of the world's greatest science and engineering collections. Actually, it's the greatest. Celebrating a great cast of engineers and their creativity. So I think this partnership was always meant to be. I have been fortunate enough to chair the Create the Trophy competition since its beginning in 2013. And each year there are new delights in the range and optimistic zest of entries from young people aged 14 to 24. By using simple shapes, they build complex, engaging and thought-provoking trophies, which combine both the prestige of the QE Prize and the spirit of modern engineering. Once again, I was delighted to share the judging with an energetic, opinionated, and insightful panel. Structural engineer and author Roma Agrawal, materials engineer Dr. Zoe Laughlin, and architect Rebecca Ramos, who joins me here on stage, in case you were wondering who the mystery woman was. As always, it's a difficult task, and as diplomats would put it, we had a free and frank exchange of views, but we came to a unanimous decision. But before I reveal our 2024 winner, I'd like to mention 2 other finalists whose designs were of such quality that we wanted to recognize them as highly recommended and winners of a special award. These 2 awards go to Nandan Ambore, age 19 from India, and Samiha Nasha, age 14 from the UK. Now, unfortunately, Nandan can't be with us this evening, but I'm really delighted to invite Samiha to the stage to receive her certificate from Rebecca. Our winner of the 2024 Create the Trophy competition is Sunil Thakur, who's 17 and lives in Ahmedabad in India. Sadly, he can't join us this evening, but I know he will be really excited to see his design brought to life and presented to this year's QE Prize laureates. So finally, congratulations to all our finalists, and my thanks to the competition entrants for making our judging process so energetic and stimulating. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian and Rebecca. And congratulations again to all this year's Create the Trophy entrants. Okay, we're getting excited. We're nearing the announcement of this year's Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering. And to give you an idea of the process that goes into deciding the winner, we talked with the judging panel about how they make their incredibly difficult decision and why the QE Prize is the world's most prestigious award for engineering.
The main elements that we look for in a winner are that it is an outstanding achievement in engineering and that it delivers clear benefit to humanity.
The judges look at many points of data that describe different characteristics. We are looking for engineering that creates a benefit to a large part of humankind.
To me, being a judge on the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering, it's a great honor. This year, discussions were fantastic. There was a lot of learning from the other judges. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of inquiry.
We have a number of really strong and compelling applications, so actually making a final choice is a really difficult thing to do.
The winning nomination is very exciting because it addresses a very key issue that the world faces up today. It brings together many different disciplines.
It's an invention that touches everybody's life in many parts of the world. It's an invention that you can see how it has evolved in time. It's something big, and it's something that is very in line with the sustainability agenda.
It opens up a whole host of new research areas for tomorrow's engineers and scientists. I think it's quite unfathomable to think of what tomorrow's world would look like without this particular innovation.
Countries in the global south face important challenges. It's not everywhere in the world that people have access to electricity as they do in the UK or in the United States or in Europe.
Climate change, of course, is a challenge, but increasing inequalities is going to be a big challenge. Removing those inequalities, dismantling those inequalities would be one of the greatest challenges for engineers, not just in India, but around the world.
With the innovation that we award today and recognize today, many different disciplines contributed, and we need engineers that are able to build systems, able to integrate knowledge from many different fields to address the challenges that are ahead of us.
So, the moment is now upon us. It's time to find out who's won this year's Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering. To make the announcement, would you please welcome to the stage the chairman of the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering Foundation, Lord Brown of Madingley.
Your Royal Highness, Chairman, my lords, ladies and gentlemen. When I was appointed as the founding chairman of the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering in 2013, the world was in many ways a very different place, growing and globalizing with generally stable political and economic outlooks, and a Europe which had put the conflicts of the 20th century behind it. Today, the world has changed enormously, and yet one thing has remained constant over the lifetime of this award, and that is the ability of engineering to make the world a better place for society. It has the power to change the lives of billions of people for the better, to drive global commerce, connections, communication, and dialogue between nations, and to inspire not just those who practice engineering, but those who seek a career where they can achieve real and lasting change. I'm delighted that we're here tonight in the Science Museum in the shadow of, dare I say, our own Engineers Gallery, which opened last year. The gallery celebrates the power of engineering, highlighting not just the work of the laureates of the Queen Elizabeth Prize, but also looking to the future. It demonstrates how a new generation of engineers is taking these remarkable innovations and developing them to bring further benefit to humankind. We're extremely grateful to our founding donors and to the donors of the Engineers Gallery for their generous support. The 60 extraordinary engineers shown here serve as a powerful role model for young people. Through their teaching and the work of their organizations, they enable the next generation to follow in their footsteps. Our 2024 laureates continue to drive engineering advancement and push the boundaries of what is possible. Throughout their careers, they have made breakthroughs in engineering. They've developed technology, and as the industry has grown, they've maintained the presence as the leading engineers in their industry. Together, they have been instrumental in everything from demonstration projects to full-scale implementation, deploying some of the world's largest rotating machines. This is truly grand engineering on a grand and global scale. For their achievements in advancing the design, manufacture, and deployment of high-performance wind turbines, allowing wind energy to make a substantial contribution to the world's electricity generation, the 2024 Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering is awarded to Andrew Garrad and to Henrik Stiesdal. Gentlemen, please join me.
Well, many congratulations to our two laureates. I'm very pleased to be able to ask you a couple of questions, but to join you and Lord Brown on stage, please welcome the chair of the QE Prize judging panel, Professor Dame Lynn Gladden. Of course, Laureates, I want to start with you both. Andrew, today's award is a recognition of many years of the highest quality engineering. Can you explain what inspired you to focus on the possibilities of wind energy at the very beginning of your career?
Yes, well, I did a PhD trying to understand why dolphins can swim so fast. Those were days when you could get money to do any sort of PhD you wanted. And at the end of that, I received a letter from the UK Admiralty and the US Navy asking if I would like to continue with my work for them. And I thought, no, I definitely wouldn't. And so then I had, for the first time in my life, to think actively about what I wanted to do, and I decided on energy. I looked at all the different types of energy, and frankly, more by luck than judgment, I chose wind, which turned out to be a very good bet. Because I wanted to be involved in developing clean energy. It was before the days of climate change. I wanted somewhere where I could exercise my love of mathematics and do something worthwhile and exciting. And I could not have made a better choice. So I've had a wonderful time ever since.
We're all very grateful that you made that choice, Andrew. Thank you. Henrik, can you explain why the turbine blade design that you pioneered has made such a difference to wind power?
Well, actually, you can make turbines with any number of blades. One blade and a counterweight, 2 blades, 3 blades and more. It turns out that the 2-bladed design that could seem to be obvious, it's simple, it has fewer blades, it's straightforward, it is not dynamically stable. So it has certain instability issues when you get gusty wind. And it turns out that 3 blades is the lowest number of blades that doesn't have that problem. 3 and more is always stable. So 3 is what you would call, from our childhood math lessons, what is necessary and what is sufficient. And that is why it came out to be the winning concept.
Thank you. Lord Brown, you, of course, spearheaded the commitment to wind power many years ago when you led BP and co-chaired the world's largest renewable energy private equity firm until 2015. Where do you see the major opportunities for businesses to get involved in developing wind power today?
Well, first, there's going to be a lot more wind power, there's no doubt. The world has committed to at least trebling renewable energy, which means we're going to go from 1 terawatt to 3 terawatts, hopefully in a few years, before the end of the decade. A lot of the growth is going to be in the global south. It's very important, so businesses should be there, because it's easier to start clean rather than to start dirty and have to clean it up. So that's really important. Secondly, there are no end of things that go into a wind farm. It's not just blades and turbines, it's foundations, it's supports, it's floating wind, there's control systems, there's a lot of cabling needed, we need to expand grids, and there's a planning, lots of things to do. So these are all great opportunities for investment, and if you don't believe me, look at what I've done. I've put my money where my mouth is.
Thank you. And Dame Lynn, as chair of the judging panel, what was it that made Andrew and Henrik's work stand out above the many other innovations that the panel discusses?
Well, as we've heard, the Queen Elizabeth Prize seeks to honour these great engineering achievements which have changed the world for the good. And there is absolutely no doubt that this technology and these laureates have done exactly that. What I think was particularly exciting for the judges was that here in such a sort of large-scale engineering achievement, that there were 2 individuals that everyone said, these are the 2 figures that if we removed either one from the scene, we would not be where we are now. And I think that is often a criterion which we look at. If the winners, any one of the winners, did not exist, would we be at the state we are in now with this technology? And I think it was really notable when we did that search on the traceability of who does what, that these two gentlemen to my left were the standout figures. And I mean, it's really exciting, I think, as far as the Queen Elizabeth Prize and the judges are concerned. If you look back at the earlier prizes, which are laureates, which are all tremendous engineering achievements, often the breakthrough element of the technology has been at the molecular or the electronic level. And here we were celebrating really large-scale engineering, both in terms of the turbines themselves and the mathematical modeling, which was covering all manner of length scales, you know, amongst the turbine arrays, their interaction with the atmosphere, the environment, and the world of fluid mechanics, the materials engineering that allows you to construct these turbines. It's an absolute true celebration of engineering.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, and thank you all. Andrew and Henrik, it's clear that the use of your technology has such far-reaching effects on all areas of engineering. We talked to some of the QE Prize ambassadors, engineers in the early stages of their careers, about how your innovation helps them in their individual areas of engineering.
If you go out for a walk on a blustery day and you feel that wind pushing you back or forwards, wind turbines are essentially taking that energy and turning it into electricity.
Just one revolution of a wind turbine creates enough energy to power a household for a single day.
They sweep per unit up to 20 football fields. It's already a huge part of the global energy mix and is set to become an even greater part of our fossil-free future.
So behind me, I have here our 15 megawatt drivetrain facility. The bladed system developed by Garrad is currently being used by design engineers to help us model and design and develop current and existing and potentially future designs for wind turbines.
The work that Henrik and Andrew have done in the development of the sizes of the wind turbines has allowed companies to be able to produce blades of enormous size. We've recently been able to test the last 5 largest blades in the world, one of them being 107 meters.
In relation to wind, it's quite important to know how that wind turbine is going to behave, what the weather's going to be and how that affects it, what the electricity output will be, and that's where mathematical modelling comes in and the work that Garrad has done.
One of the main tasks within my first internship in offshore wind was about modelling the offshore array farm to determine how best we collect the electricity generated offshore back onto onshore. The transportation sector accounts for quite a lot of the greenhouse gas emissions, and without a green grid, it's really hard to reach the transportation net zero targets.
So in 2019, I volunteered for WindAid. We installed a small wind turbine in northern Peru for a community that didn't have grid electricity readily available. We're trying to use materials that are more lightweight, recyclable plastics, also ones that won't decompose over time. And that's also to help reduce the cost of the installation, but also make it something that they can scale up across Peru. So it's cross-sector, but also on a global scale.
From the engineers of tomorrow, we really need those who push themselves to think creatively and drive that innovation to become the next generation of pioneers like Stiesdal and Garrad.
Well, Lord Brown, Dame Lynn, thank you both very much. And can I once again congratulate our 2 laureates, Andrew Garrad and Henrik Stiesdal. Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Well, Your Royal Highness, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations once again to the 2024 laureates. Before I draw this part of the evening to a close, I'd just like to add, if I may, a short personal perspective on the value and importance of the QE Prize. Although I had the privilege last year of being elected a Fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering, I am, after all, a mere physicist.
Never mind.
Thank you. But as I mentioned earlier, I've also had the privilege of serving as a judge on the QE Prize for 6 years. I was the only physicist among a panel of engineers, so it's very daunting. It was tremendously rewarding an experience for me, having to go through all the nominations, seeing just how much these innovations and achievements in engineering have changed all our lives for the better. It was astounding for me, and it made it incredibly difficult, as we heard from Dame Lingladen, very difficult to choose just one from among the many nominations. Looking back over the past winners, trying to imagine our modern world without GPS, without LED lighting, without solar power, or indeed without wind power technology, really highlights what a debt we owe to all our laureates for their ingenuity, creativity, and dedication. Now, before I close, I've told this story on several occasions, so I apologize if you've heard it before. When my son, now in his 30s and recently married, decided on what to study at university, I had high hopes that he'd follow me into physics. But instead, he chose to study electronic engineering, like his grandfather, in fact. To pacify his slightly disappointed dad, he said to me, Dad, as a theoretical physicist, you can do the deep thinking. I want to do something useful. I mean, of course, this was only his way of explaining the distinction between physics and engineering. But of course, as our laureates this year have proven, engineering success is about much more than just problem solving. It's all about all those qualities I mentioned earlier, and worth repeating: ingenuity, creativity, dedication, all qualities shown in abundance this year. So, if I may be so bold as to speak on behalf of humanity, thank you both for your exceptional contributions to engineering and for making the world a better place. And thank you all very much for joining us tonight. This ends the formal element of the evening, but please do make your way upstairs to the engineering gallery for refreshments. Thank you all very much.
Winning the 2024 Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering is, of course, overwhelming and humbling, and I'm deeply, deeply honored by it.
I feel I'm receiving it on behalf of a large group of people who have managed to create this industry and got it to the present state that it's in now, making a substantial contribution to zero carbon energy around the world.
What Garrad and Stiesdal have done, both on the mathematical modeling side and on the engineering design side, really pushes forward wind technology hugely.
So it's been an amazing night tonight. It's been great to meet everybody and to celebrate the unsung heroes in our industry that are playing a huge part in improving the quality of people's lives.
This is a coming together of a science and engineering community and how we make a difference.
I was really pleased to find that my trophy design has made it to the top 10. And as a young person in engineering, I think that it's really significant to see that your ideas can make a mark in engineering history. It's really inspiring.
It's been absolutely fantastic to be here this evening to celebrate the work of Henrik and Andrew, and I can't wait to see what innovations the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering will celebrate over the coming years.